Hey folks, this is just a short video to go over a piece of software that I created to help my Linux system be a little bit more productive. And it is a combination of a development environment, an IDE, or an operating system. And I'll go over both of those. The point here is that this is a piece of software that doesn't cost me anything, that could be built in 1 week's time, and I don't have to worry about licensing fee or maybe an operating system that wants to know my address and that's tracking me, for example. So this is something that's aimed at both the business owner and the system user as well. So let's jump in real quick. It's a pretty cool little tool here. I basically built the IDE part of it to allow me to build instantly a basic program that I could then customize. It's no more complex than that. Okay, I can also automatically add a function that is a repetitive function like an if then else or for next or do while. Again, this was geared toward basic, but I could have easily made this towards C or Python or whatever language that I want. So if you're developing your own, choose whatever language that you want. I also added an audit code so that if I maybe make a mistake, I can audit the code and it'll fix it for me. So that's the IDE part right there. It's pretty straightforward. I just needed something simple because I didn't want to go back and forth between different softwares and licensing, and this is just really simple. It doesn't cost me anything. I can get things very quickly. So the operating part of it differs a little bit from some standard operating systems that might only use the programming name. This one actually allows attributes, and you can choose basically any attributes that you want, but it also has some basic ones. This one is for like data, programming, documents, project views, and art. Again, you could choose whatever you wanted to. So depending on whatever you choose, it also has an image that's connected to each of the file objects, but you don't have to have an image in there if you don't want it, but it's available for you to use. Okay, if you want to add a tag for attributes, you can add it up here at the top, and you can see me doing that right up here. If I wanted to search, for example, for a certain attribute, we'll call it peaches, for example, and I look it up, it's coming up empty, and that's because I don't have anything in there. But it just goes to show you that you could add any customization that you wanted. Okay, if I were to, for example, select a grocery list, that will give me what I wanted to look at maybe or modify, and you can also switch to a light or a dark mode if you want, whatever you want. Okay, Irish fire, I like that. Anyway, this is something that I could use quickly, and when I look at these different views, and I only have one screen here, but just imagine that this operating part of the system is on one screen, constantly up, and then the other side over here is either working on a documentation or maybe it's working on some programming, and I can switch between light and dark modes and stuff like that. So it's really just that simple, and it works well. This one will actually work between different environments, but mainly, again, it was made to help me work in Linux quicker and faster. And Linux has a wonderful user community, and they have a lot of free stuff out there, so you might know of something that's also free and useful. But my point in all of this is that going forward, I want to make sure that I don't run into hassles with somebody else who owns my license for a piece of software, or someone that changes an operating system or wants to track and use my personal data. And I think for the future, I think that's something that each business owner and user is going to need to pay attention to. It's, in a word, freedom, and this starts with just something as simple as developing your own. This is like an operating system and a programming environment all in one, which is really pretty cool. And it only took me about a week to write. Depending on your language, you could be, might take you a little bit more. I'm comfortable with what I'm working in, and so that helps me work a little bit quicker. but you could probably flesh something out in a week, and then maybe add a little bit more time after that to debug or expand your ideas and concepts. One last point here before I jump off. This is all working really well. I'm happy with it, but there's one more button here that I'll probably add soon, and this is this one down here, which would be for a multiverse. In other words, you see all this operating system side, so the right panel is like an operating system, and then the left side is like your development or your documentation, development. But down here, this will be a multiverse. So I can have whole different data sets that I could also sort, or it could be another user, so however I want to do that. So anyway, that's my concept. I hope that, you've learned something from it, or it adds some value somewhere. And, if you like it, leave a comment. You can always contact me at edi.dallas@zoho.com or stop by the domain at memoriabay.com. Anyway, thanks for watching my video, and I hope this helped out.